Recorded Books Incorporated presents an unabridged recording of Rumpole and the Golden Thread by John Mortimer, narrated by Patrick Tull, with Davina Porter as Fiona Always. This book, copyrighted 1983 by Advan Press Limited, is recorded by permission of Sterling Lord Literaristic Incorporated. This performance is copyrighted 1991 by Recorded Books Incorporated. What, you ask, is the golden thread? For Horace Rumpole, the golden thread is the foundation for every good barrister's speech to the jury. The golden thread that runs through our entire justice system is the immutable principle that all defendants are innocent unless 12 good men and women are certain that the only possible answer is that they must be guilty. In these 6 stories, you can be sure that Rumpole, England's most lovable, irreverent, claret-swigging, Wordsworth-spouting criminal lawyer, is still invoking the golden thread. And now our first story, Rumpole and the Genuine Article.
I would like to dedicate this small volume of reminiscences to a much abused and underappreciated body of men. They practice many of the virtues most in fashion today. They rely strictly on free enterprise and individual effort. They adhere to strong monetarist principles. They do not join trade unions. Far from being in favour of closed shops, they do their best to see that most shops remain open, particularly during the hours of darkness. They are against state interference of any kind, being rugged individualists to a man. No, I'm not referring to lawyers. Will you please charge your glasses, ladies and gentlemen, and drink to absent friends, to the criminals of England. Without these invaluable citizens there would be no lawyers, no judges, no policemen, no writers of detective stories, and absolutely nothing to put in the news of the world. It is better, I suppose, that I raise a solitary glass. I once proposed such a toast at a chambers party, and my speech was greeted by a studied silence. Claude Erskine-Brown examined his fingernails. Our clerk Henry buried his nose in his Cinzano Bianco. Uncle Tom, our oldest inhabitant, looked as though he was about to enter a terminal condition. Diane, who does what passes for typing in our little establishment at Equity Court in the Temple, giggled, it is true, but then Diane will giggle at almost anything. That only becomes serious, I've noticed, whenever I make a joke. A devout barrister, known to me as Sam Bollard, of whom more, unfortunately, in the following pages, took me aside afterwards and told me that he considered my remarks to be in excessively bad taste, calculated to cause a breach of the peace and bring our chambers into disrepute. Well, where would he be, I asked him, should the carrying of housebreaking implements by night vanish from the face of the earth? He told me that he could manage very well with his civil practice, and happily didn't have to rely on the sordid grubbing for a living round the Old Bailey, which I appeared to enjoy. I left him, having regretted the fact that men with civil practices are often so remarkably uncivil when addressing their elders. So, as the night wears on, and as my wife Hilda, whom I must be careful not to refer to as she who must be obeyed, not at any rate when she's in earshot, sleeps in her hairnet, dreaming of those far-off happy days when she cantered down the playing fields of Cheltenham Ladies' College, cradling her lacrosse net and aiming a sneaky pass at her old friend Dodo Perkins. As I sit at the kitchen table, filling a barrister's notebook with reminiscences, I see the bare bones of a nasty little manslaughter on the opposite page. I pour a glass of Chateau Thames Embankment, on special offer this week at Pomeroy's wine bar. How else would Jack Pomeroy get anyone to buy it? And drink, alone and in silence, to those
Sample complete. Ready to continue?